Oh, hey, there we are again. Okay. So, got a few things done. Got a little bit to munch on real quick. So I figured I'd jump back in. Grab my other box here because I've got that's there. Put that over here. Put things in their place so they're not in the way. Put this up there. That's empty. I shouldn't need that. Put all my screws in there. So in this one, I'm gonna go ahead. See, I've got the. I didn't put that on. Got the stuff kind of laid out. Trannies in, all locked into place where I stopped off the last video. Ready to roll. I'm going to flop these around and install. I got just stock bearings in this right now. So I'm going to take. What's just here? I'm going to take and install some backyard RC ceramic bearings in the hubs all the way around front and back. To get that ready, I think I'm going to turn around also and install about a set of Exotech titanium front axles, and they don't quite work with the rig I have them on, my Redshift. It puts the tires out a little wider, unfortunately. So I think I might swap those around, and I'm going to get a pair of Lunsford titaniums for them, and I'll bring those Exotechs over here, or I may just get another set of ones for them and just sell the Exotechs. Not sure what I'm going to do there, but all I'm going to do here is make a quick swap of these bearings and get this shock tower all installed, and then move to the front, swap those bearings out, get those bearings in place. These things went in there. These are the STRC, or I'm sorry, not STRC, Atomic rear hub carriers, and then I got the Atomics up front, and in this I even put the Atomic steering, the bell crank in from Atomic. So I've got Atomic RC at my corners in this. These are nice, man. The bearings are snug. You just barely get in and out. Grab this thing back. So these are stock bearings. Let me take this one off. Just basically stock Traxxas 11 by 4 or 5 by 11 by 4, 4 by 11 by 5, whatever the hell they are. And I'm going to be putting in, like I say, these ceramics here. But these bearings, they didn't just slop in. The fit was real good. They held, you know, it's a snug fit, but they go in. They don't lock down. You do have to tap them a little bit, and one or two. I did have to give them a couple taps to get them in and seated all the way, but they fit real well. I bought a set of Traxxas TRX green ones for my tarp, and those bearings, half of them just fall in and out. The bearing slides in and out of the race. It's not even holding the outer race of the bearing, so the bearing won't really be doing what a bearing should have to do. You know, the outer race needs to be at least held so anything riding on the inside isn't just spinning the entire race and the entire bearing assembly inside it. So there's some quirks in there. I bought some replacements for that one, but that's that. So yeah, that's one of the things you want to do, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the tranny, and clean these bearings off, spray them a little bit with my moo, and leave them set while I turn around and take apart the fronts. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get those bearings out because I'm going to have to do those too. Anyways, these are brand new bearings, so I'm just going to kind of clean them with a little bit of what I've got had it for a long time. CowRC.com. And I think he's still in business. I've had this stuff for 10 years, and I've seen some of his stuff out there, so I believe he's still out and selling gear. And this stuff was great. This Moose Slick, it's a silicone-based lubricant, works with bearings. Let me see, we got stop sticking hinge pins. Yeah, and you can spray the stuff on your hinge pins and your shock shafts and all that stuff, and it's a real nice silicone lubricant, and it will keep everything real smooth. In my other video where I did the shocks, I was talking about the tracks of shocks being sticky. Take your shocks apart, spray them with this, and I am going to take a little bit of this, and I will hit my shock shafts before I'm all done, and at least lube up a little bit for what movement I got, because this stuff is really good. It's the final little, key in keeping these things smooth. But yeah, it says, yeah, eliminate your squeaks. It retards corrosion. Helps prevent your stuff from sticking to your body. So you actually spray this stuff down. You can spray your whole car with it. It doesn't hurt any of the plastics, none of the paints, none of that stuff. You can spray the entire system down with it and blow dry it off. And the dirt and stuff will actually stick a little less to it. It's like almost like a Teflon in that respect. So yeah, it's heat stable. It doesn't freeze. It dries fast. And you guys, what helps prevent? Yeah, gas, dirt, suspension, steering, drivetrain. From sticking to the body and all the RC stuff. But this stuff is just a general lubricant, but it's great because it's thin, it's natural, there's nothing, chemical in it, and it does an excellent job on lubricating bearings. And if you got ceramics, it does a real good job on taking care of those too. You can just kind of spray them, let it set, it'll work its way in to the bearing cases and inside and get that lubrication going. A couple little splats, let that set. I'll drop those in there. Slide this back here a little bit. Way. Give that a spin. Pop these puppies off. Yeah, let me see. Get that. I just got a screw inside the center of the servo right now, holding everything. It's kind of locked down in place. That in there. Trying to get these puppies ready to go. Race season's about here. It's supposed to be 55 and 60 in the next couple of days, and I don't have one of my rigs ready to go out and punch down the road yet. But it shouldn't be long. I'm still waiting for a body on at least one. Pop that up. Spacer there, a couple of them actually. Okay. I know it'll come out kind of nicely, unfortunately. Back of that, did I? Don't look like it. Okay. Thought I had a. Oh yeah, there it is. I thought I did. There's the two of them. Got two of them back behind it. I probably don't even need those actually, but that stops the wheels from bumping too much. Although I think I'll put those back behind it instead. All right, let's get these bearings the rest of the way out of here. Yep. Okay, now these ones in front will be the easiest to do. Hook, head, pretty good. And like I mentioned in my other video with my ceramic bearings, show this in all my videos, most of them, I put a little mark, put a little, mark on them with a dark marker so you can see the little black C on there, and I know that's a ceramic bearing. Because other than that, there's no indicating markers. Okay, this baby back in, and I'm going to put the thick piece back here instead of the thin one. So I think that'll work a little better. Keep that in a little more. Cross pin. And there we go. Should be ready. Slide it up. Okay, let's get this side in. But yeah, when I figure out what exactly I'm going to do with my front hexes, these things are so easy to swap around. I'll make a change then, but I'll probably end up with those Exotech titaniums up here. Also, it does kind of depend on which actual front tires I run, because I got a set of the Traxxas funny car wheels. I was thinking about using those on this rig. And of course, the front wheels on those are bearings. They don't use the hex. Here. Yeah, it does. So get that off there. This one had one in the back, I think. Or did it? This doesn't. Thought it had another. Piece in there on that one. Okay, the front one wasn't quite all the way out. Okay, this in there. Cross pin. The bearings aren't seated all the way or something. Because that one is a little more sloppy than this one. Make sure. Just checking that I'm all seated. This one, the pin was snug going in there, and that's what it should be, really. You should take the front tires off like a damn pin going, that's a little better. Not quite seated all the way. And I'm going to again bypass my shims for right now. So I basically used up all my shims. And I could use a few spares for other more important locations, because these can be put on later. I can get a different shim. Like little Teflons from Traxxas would be better. All right, now those are in there. These ones in. Okay, and there we go. Backyard RC ceramic bearings installed that easy. Let's go ahead and flop around, and we'll get this baby installed from here. So first thing we're going to do is I've already got Loctite in most all these bolts and screws, so I'm not going to worry about adding more at the moment. We'll get these installed. My outdrive shafts. And because these have a set screw that rides in the hole, I'm not going to worry about. Sure, so I'm going to get it in the right spot. See, that's how you know you can turn that screw and it doesn't go anywhere, but it's still loose, so you know you're in the right position. And you got that set screw into the hole and not just on the shaft itself. Finish tightening down. More. Push this one up. Basically, I'm just going from side to side, and it's got two set screws, and make sure each one's well set and in place. And because it's nice and open, tighten them up a little bit. Shouldn't need much because I've got the Loctite on there. Even though it's dried up, it's still in there, it's still on there, and it should bite pretty good. And we're going to go. You want to kind of line make sure you're kind of running the same setup. These should be pretty much even back and forth. Close the back line. These MIP shafts, the bottom of the set screws actually got a nub draw that will, like a pin piece at the end that'll slide right into that hole. But you gotta be into the hole. You know, the way to check that is make sure you can get down there, you can't pull it out. Make sure you're not too tight. Or make sure it isn't tight and you can slap it around but it doesn't pull off. That's how you know you're in the hole, and this end of the set screw pin part is sliding into the shaft. And you're good. Okay. Now, seat that all the way. I don't know what I got on there. With these, I really shouldn't need one. Quite literally. Because that's got the small little piece right on it already, naturally, just to go in there. So that'll give me back another shim I can use elsewhere. Yeah, that's good. Take that one off there. So I'm running out of my 5mm shims because I did put them in some places I didn't really need them, like here. Because these MIP ends are designed to ride up against the inner race and not be so wide that they get contact with the outer race of the bearings. So you don't need these shims here. And this side likewise has got just a little raise, and that raise goes to the inside, and you don't need to shim it. So that creates just a natural little distance. Okay, now when you're putting these together, your drive shafts, you want to make sure you got your drive shafts in phase. And that's just one little trick. But basically, you take your drive shafts, find your pins, make sure your swivels are in the same spot, and then you turn around and on the other shaft, find your pins, and just make sure your pins line up. And your teeth are only going to line up in one spot where your pins are actually in line. So that's not it. They're one tooth off at least. So you go here, it's hard for you to see. I don't know if you'll be able to, but to give you an example, you can see the pin right here at the top of my finger, maybe. Let me try to get there. See that pin right there? And this pin on this one isn't in the same spot. It's just off a slight bit, not quite in phase. So spin it 180 degrees. Well, that one's even worse. And make sure you got them so they're almost lined up right. Okay, make sure that's in the right. I don't have this backwards. Yep, that's right. Where is it? Yeah, that's right. Maybe not. Maybe I gotta flip that around. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There we go. And again, just put them in and check your phase so your pins are almost as lined up, lined up each way. That way, you're as the drive shaft rotates and everything's spinning through the angles, having your drive shafts out of phase can cause problems, especially at high speed. So you want to just make sure the pins are almost in line. That's how you get them in phase. There we go. That's that, and that's that. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a couple screws here. We got plastics in the front holes on the chassis, and on the rear we have aluminum in the drag race concepts. So I don't need real long bolts going from the chassis or the shock tower plate to the other piece, to the training, because it's aluminum. And I'll use a little Loctite on that. But I do need a few of my longer bolts to go back into the chassis. And I'm going to use, actually, instead of those, I'm going to use some good long ones to seat them right deep into the chassis and make sure that is well done. Where's the other one? Right there. Is that the same one? That one's a little shorter. That's the same one. And I need a washer. Actually, I need the other two washers. I should have another two here. The dark ones. Okay. Grab my Dorada. Get them started with. You here. You here. Before I go too far, we'll do these. I'm going to put a small drop of Loctite right in the threaded part of the holes on the tranny case itself. Push in that extra, wipe it off. Too much there. And now, we'll go ahead and do these back ones. We'll get that in there before that stuff dries up too much. Ooh, nuts. Goodness. This might not be long enough, actually. That's enough in there. Yeah, I got a little bit longer. Let me see if I got a couple longer ones. I'm sure. No, I do. Alright. Yeah, there. About 10 millimeters worth. Got 2/8 there. Should have almost longer. Yeah. Should have one more of those. Trying to find the right leg bolt there. You should have had one in there. Same size. These four are the same size. That one. All right. Let me grab my bag out here. Get my other bolt out. I know I got another one of those in there somewhere. Close by, handy. 8mm button head. That's another 10. So it was 6.
sometime this week for those cups you ordered, correct? That's why I want those smaller cups instead of the solo cups for the mustard, because it's growing like a chia pet.
Yeah, they look like tomorrow.
Oh, and those tomatoes that are in the bedroom, in the tote, the jelly bean ones, they might have to go where that plant is up on the thing during the day, because they kind of look a little bit leggy. I just think they need more sun than just what they're getting out of that one window. I just don't want them to be, because they're growing pretty damn fast. Like, I'm going to have to take them out of that, and I don't know, I've only put them in there like maybe 5 days ago, and they seem like they've grown 2 inches.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No about it. They will grow fast. Especially you get them in that good sunlight. It's like they smell spring.
Well, and these ones would be very good ones to go. I got some tomato plants, but these are ones that are determinants, so they're going to do their thing, and those still have probably a good 60 days on them before they're going to be kaput. I don't know, more like 90 days. Pardon me.
There. That other round, the first round of just a little bit of the old lactite. And some of that. Let's put it on. I don't like that bolt. That one's messed up. Not the place to have a messed up screw that. There we go. That one ain't all chooped up at the end. there's that. Run you up. Yeah. Start it. A little push and a little force to get everything to line up. Just didn't pull it out. Sometimes that's a shock with magnetic parts. Okay. Alright, that's another bad one, I think. You know, that tip isn't. Make sure the other tip ain't the bigger one. That's the small tip. So we do have the bigger of the two. That's just the bad screw. You need to come on out of there. Get rid of you now. Spot for you right there. Okay. Finish tightening those up. Too good. Okay. There's the door. What's the difference in these things? Oh, I think I got that one up backwards. Let me go ahead and swap that real quick. got that slightly larger bushing on the one side. I think. Not sure. We'll see. A little touch fair. See if that makes any difference on this side. I doubt it will. Actually, yeah, it does. Good. Okay. Bearings are in. Hinge pins. What are my rear hinge pins? Need a couple more screws for those. And get one more. Get one right there. I think it is. We got two right there. That little bag. Nothing there. We need such a clear bag so I can see. A couple of small nuts in here that I'll keep that clean because that might be the ones. I got any nuts in this thing, do I? Only one or two. A few in there too. Alright, so I'm using stock hinge pins. And these pieces. Now, as I said, this stuff is RC muesli. Ooh, I did. Got. Oh, good. Right there. I see two on the floor and two there. I forgot about my darn CWC spacer sheet. Those two. Those two. Not sure what that is for. But you're taking sprayer hinge pin with this stuff before you slide it in. And these are going right to right, left to left. The Drag Race Concepts transmission has a 0-degree toe setup. You can buy a 3-degree toe block if you want to run, the stock type toe setup in the back of the Bandit or Slash or whatever you're installing your Drag Race Concepts Traxxas based tranny into. There's a tipping. I'll go ahead and pull out that other one. Slide those in. So the end ones are just getting stoppers on this. Actually, take and put a little slop in there. Let that stuff slide. That glue will work its way in a little bit. Spray it in just a smidge. I gotta find a little straw to put on there, so it'll work a little bit better. Ashes and crap off it. Drop it in the trash can. Okay. Back arms back on. Now they're at a 0 degree. And now STRT's in front, or I should not front, but outer rear. And you got to buy these separate. You know, you buy the STRC hinge sets, and you don't get the darn piece here. You got to buy them separately. See, if I go to the second one, lower it, it's gonna raise it. So I got it up there. Trying to figure out which hole pull will give me the lowest ride height. So yeah, it's going to be the bottom one. Although in the center one, yeah, it'll put more angle on it. Okay. Yep, one in the bottom one. Because these got 2 holes to choose from, you know, top and bottom. Which one do you want to do for tuning? And I think it's best that they go in. That they go in the bottom hole. Otherwise, put them in the middle hole, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of extra angle in your drive shafts at ready to launch. I don't want a lot of angle in my drive shaft. I want to try to keep them kind of level, except for once it's taking off and then settling in once it's down the road. Okay. Some stuff through there now, and just get it all lubed in there some. Get that the wrong way. The other one is coming from the front. use the schmozzle. Gotta be worked a little bit. So let me do this. I'll give it a little spray and all of it. I'm just gonna give it a little shot. Working that stuff in a little bit. So let's get right here. Take a little compressed air with your air compressor and just kind of blow this stuff around. It works out pretty good. Take these and move over here for a bit. I can use that. Okay. Buff the excess, so I ain't slopping. And there you go. Probably 6 there. Back to the trash. Go over here. I'm knocking it all over the place. Okay. Ready to throw on a couple of shots here. And we'll be pretty much done. Wrap off another hour's worth of video. Go ahead and switch back. Just going to install these in the outermost hole because I want to keep my shots and or my as low as possible. So you go to the outermost hole, and that brings up the arms as high as they can be. Okay. Yes. All right. Drop my highfalutin cover stand on it. There we go. There we go. This one was a little sticky yet, so I'm gonna have to spray it, I think, and push and try to get this one stick. I might end up putting a little cleaner inside on a cigar pipe cleaner and shoving it through there and oiling up the inside of that, but that should be it. I'm working a little bit more as everything's brand new here, so it's a little stiff. I got 100 weight in there. So I can always tighten that one up a tad, but I shouldn't have to. And it should be pretty much the same. It's because this arm's still a little sticky. But you can see that the shafts are almost level, full extension. I got those bubbles in there. The bumpers on the insides, limiters stopping it from coming down. It keeps the arms almost level. It's got to come up a little bit to get the drive shafts level on each side, and then just a little higher for bumps. And it's pretty stiff at 100 weight oil in there. And the Traxxas 3-hole pistons. I guess I'm kind of glad they put in there. 1 hole would have been really probably too stiff. And that's it. We've taken the low center of gravity slash, added backyard RC ceramic bearings into it, replacing the stock Traxxas bearings in the carriers. It's got the drag race concepts. Now, this is basically a hybrid between mostly drag race concepts and stock Traxxas right now. What we're looking at obviously is the low center of gravity Traxxas slash body or chassis, and I got RPM Bandit with arms front and back, stock Traxxas links all the way around, Atomic RC front steering blocks and rear hub carriers with Atomic RC, and then stock hinge pins almost all the way. I do have, it's got the drag race concept obviously on this, the 0-degree bulkhead, and they give you a set of hinge pins for their 0-degree bulkhead. I went ahead and used those instead of the stock ones. They're a little bit better quality. They're just C-clip hinge pins, and they actually work a little bit nicer. I kind of like them. I wish they gave me a set of hinge pins for the rears with the trannies to use. I would have preferred those over stock. But anyways, so it's got a drag race concepts, front 0-degree bulkhead, the bumper, and the shock tower. Now, the shock tower the chassis had to be slightly modified. It took a heck of a lot of work to get the shock tower on this chassis. So you might want to use a different shock tower, and pretty much any shock tower will work with the drag race concepts 0-degree. They mount just like a stock. You can use a stock shock tower on the 0-degree bulkhead. But I went with the unit on the 0-degree, and I had to work it on. Didn't think it was going to fit, but so it took me a little bit, but I got it to fit. From there, we got the Atomic bell crank up in here, and then the Reese RC 299 LP steering servo. Nice little servo in there. And yeah, and then backyard RC ceramic bearings pretty much throughout. The only ones that aren't are in the bell crank, and as you see, this thing is so, it takes nothing, so it doesn't really even, I didn't worry about bell crank wheels. Other than that, just gotta wait for I got the motor in ESC. I gotta pull the ESC out of the redshift and then pair it with the motor. But I got a motor analyzer and some motor shims. I want to make sure this is just a stock 13.5 McLaren. I want to go through that. That stuff should actually probably be here tomorrow or the next day. So it'll be a little bit before I put the ESC and motor in. I'm still debating on whether I'm going to run the Traxxas funny car wheels on the front and back, and I do have a set of adapters coming to go from 12 to 14 millimeters, so I can run those on the back. And I'll probably run just a regular accelerator up front. Like I say, I do have the other ones, but those would require a different front axle. So that's pretty much it. Pretty much all Traxxas and drag race concepts on this hybrid build. A little bit of Team Associated. That's with these front 3.5 millimeter Team Associated hexes up front. And backyard RC bearings, ceramic bearings all the way through it. And that's pretty much the deal. So this is going to be my 13.5 street stock. I call it the street stock. I can't remember what the no prep RC term is for your 13.5 spec class, but they've got it in the rules. I call it a street stock because it'd be like a car you drive up and race with your driver's license on the, with the car's license on the back bumper, blah blah blah. Same thing, except everybody's running 13.5 and from there. So this should be, I'm hoping, a pretty fast 13.5. Nice ceramic bearings all the way through. Everything's spinning really nice and low resistance. And this tranny, I do have a VXL slipper plates coming. And once I get those and slipper pads for them, I'll be running that Revolution, I think it is, Revolution RC VXL. I think that's what they call it, the slipper setup for the Team Associated or DR10 that people are running. I'm going to go ahead and run that because this is a Team Associated setup slipper or top shaft from Drag Race Concepts. And that's about it. Can't think of anything. Oh yeah, my cheap Chinese shocks that, with half-hour time and a little bit of work really make them smooth. And like I say, I'll hit the shock shafts with a little bit of that Moo RC. I'll spray it on a brush and just kind of brush it in there so I don't get it all over everything. But that stuff works really good. But there we go. That's going to pretty much, I guess, set me up for the day. At least on this rig. I'll probably get into something else in a little bit, but I'm going to end this one and probably pick one up later. So we'll talk to you then. Bye. Oh, yeah, before I actually go, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe if you would. Help me grow the channel. Later.